Picture the slow hush of a marble corridor at dusk, shadows dancing against the columns as a lone torch flickers in the distance. You step forward, heart pounding, drawn by a whisper in the dark. There, you sense a subtle pull, voices asking for what they have no right to demand, beckoning you to trade your calm for their chaos. Tonight, we reveal 9 hidden requests that threaten to drain your resolve and corrupt your peace if you give in. Guided by the timeless lessons of Stoicism, we will learn to recognize these traps and protect the sanctity of our inner fortitude. Subscribe this channel for informative videos. We gather here in pursuit of wisdom and self-mastery, united by the desire to stand firm in a world that constantly tugs at our minds, our morals, and our emotional boundaries. The ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, taught us that while external events lie outside our control, the power to govern our own reactions is wholly within our grasp. When others pressure us to yield, to compromise, or to bend to their will, we can either concede and lose ourselves or remain steadfast in our principles. In this script, we will explore 9 specific ways that people can impose on us, demands so subtle or seemingly innocuous that we might overlook their corrosive potential. These demands can erode our self-control, entangle us in destructive emotions, and sever us from the serenity of a well-ordered mind. As we shed light on each hidden request, we will weave in the profound teachings of Stoic philosophers and the insights of modern psychology, creating a tapestry of resilience that we can carry into every corner of our lives. By the end of this journey, you will know how to identify these insidious calls and how to respond in a manner consistent with Stoic virtue. You will understand that saying no or setting firm boundaries is not an act of cruelty, but a testament to your devotion to inner harmony. We stand together, drawing upon centuries of accumulated wisdom to defend our emotional, mental, and moral well-being. Let us begin. 1. The demand for constant validation. The craving for endless approval. Some people crave our unwavering praise and agreement, expecting us to echo their every sentiment, bolster their every opinion, and affirm their every choice. They may phrase their need for validation in gentle, seemingly harmless ways. Just tell me I'm right. Aren't I doing everything perfectly? Or, back me up on this, no questions asked. Beneath the surface, however, lies an insatiable hunger for external affirmation, one that can swiftly become a cage for those of us who indulge it. Why it undermines you. In a Stoic framework, sincerity and truth matter more than appeasing someone's insecurities. Seneca noted that associating with those who cannot bear honest reflection only perpetuates illusions, both theirs and ours. By offering constant, uncritical praise, we smother the potential for genuine growth, both in the other person and in ourselves. We sacrifice the richness of constructive dialogue, relinquishing our intellectual honesty for a fragile sense of social harmony. Moreover, in appeasing another's need for constant validation, we risk normalizing self-deception. We learn to withhold our authentic insights, training ourselves to placate rather than engage in meaningful discourse. Over time, we become complicit in reinforcing a cycle of denial, a cycle that can stifle personal development, breed resentment, and compromise the trust that underlies real relationships. Stoic countermeasure. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, repeatedly urged us to remain true to our inner sense of right and wrong, regardless of external pressures. If someone demands endless compliments, we can offer support without forfeiting honesty. We might express appreciation for what they genuinely do well, but we must also maintain the courage to question or challenge them when necessary. When approached with the demand for perpetual validation, consider these steps. Acknowledge the good. Recognize what is truly praiseworthy. Show sincere support for legitimate achievements. Introduce honest feedback. If you sense room for improvement or detect a flaw, speak gently but candidly. Protect your authenticity. Remember that your role is not to be someone's echo chamber, but to uphold truth. By refusing to feed an insatiable need for approval, we preserve our integrity and encourage genuine self-reflection in those around us. This stance, though it may spark initial discomfort, ultimately fosters deeper respect and a healthier dynamic. The pressure to violate your moral code. The insidious "just this once." We have all encountered those who tempt us to compromise our ethics, perhaps urging us to lie on a form, to fudge a financial report, or to participate in behavior that betrays our conscience. They may downplay the gravity of their request, insisting it's a trivial exception or a necessary evil. Often, they frame it as a favor, as though loyalty to them should supersede loyalty to our principles. Why it undermines you. Epictetus reminded us that real freedom is found in the governance of one's own mind and actions. The moment we bend our moral compass for the sake of convenience, profit, or peer pressure, we create a fissure in our integrity, one that can widen with each subsequent compromise. Guilt, regret, and internal conflict often follow, undermining the peace of mind that Stoicism prizes. When we betray our conscience, we risk normalizing moral flexibility. What begins as "just this once" can evolve into a pattern of ethical lapses, each one easier to rationalize than the last. We also signal to ourselves and to others that our principles are negotiable, inviting further pressure to compromise. Stoic countermeasure. The Stoic perspective is clear. Virtue must remain unshaken by external demands. Seneca spoke of the mind as a fortress, warning that once we open the gates to vice, we invite an army of destructive habits. In practical terms, articulate your boundaries. Calmly state your ethical lines and refuse to cross them. Anticipate pressure. Recognize that some will try to wear you down over time. Strengthen your resolve by reflecting on why these principles matter. Walk away if needed. If people persist in urging you to betray your conscience, consider limiting contact or removing yourself from that environment altogether. True moral fortitude lies not in loud declarations, but in quiet, consistent adherence to principle, even when no one is watching. This unwavering stance, though it may cause short-term friction, safeguards our long-term peace. 3. The burden of relentless emotional dumping, the constant confessional. Some individuals treat our emotional availability as an endless resource. They bring their crises, their dramas, and their grievances to us at all hours, expecting a bottomless well of sympathy. They do not necessarily seek solutions or self-improvement. Rather, they want a perpetual audience for their pain or frustration. Why it undermines you. While Stoicism encourages empathy and compassion, it also values the cultivation of personal resilience. Marcus Aurelius warned us not to let ourselves be overwhelmed by others' negativity or despair, lest we lose the clarity required for our own moral and emotional growth. Enabling someone's chronic venting can trap both parties. The one who constantly unloads becomes dependent on external pity, and the listener grows fatigued, sacrificing precious mental bandwidth needed for introspection and self-care. In many cases, the constant complainer resists genuine solutions. They merely want to offload their burdens onto others, leaving us drained. We cannot become Stoic paragons of reason if we are perpetually weighed down by another's refusal to address their own issues. Stoic countermeasure. Epictetus taught that true self-improvement begins with personal responsibility. If we are continually enabling someone's emotional spiral, we do neither them nor ourselves any favors. Instead, we can set boundaries. Gently but firmly limit the time and energy we devote to repeated venting sessions. Encourage self-reliance, suggest professional help, self-reflective practices, or constructive problem-solving. Preserve our emotional space. Protect our mental clarity by recognizing that unceasing exposure to negativity hampers our own stoic composure. By taking these steps, we remain compassionate without sacrificing the equilibrium that allows us to live in accordance with Stoic ideals. The seizure of your time without respect. The endless favor factory. Some people treat our schedule as though it were infinitely flexible, assuming we can drop everything to attend to their needs or whims. They might manipulate us with guilt. If you cared about me, you'd do this. Or with promises of future rewards that rarely materialize. Why it undermines you. Seneca famously wrote about the preciousness of time, lamenting how easily we squander it. Each hour we give to someone else's unending requests is an hour we cannot devote to our own growth, reflection, or meaningful pursuits. In Stoicism, the wise allocation of time is critical. We cannot cultivate virtue if we are perpetually caught in a frenzy of tasks that serve no higher purpose. Moreover, when we allow others to monopolize our days, we risk drifting from our personal goals. We become reactive rather than proactive, and our sense of direction blurs. This dynamic fosters resentment, further corroding the sense of calm Stoics strive to maintain. Stoic countermeasure. Marcus Aurelius urged us to be mindful of how we spend each moment, recognizing that life is short and opportunities to pursue virtue are finite. Therefore, evaluate requests. Before agreeing to help, ask if the task aligns with your values and available bandwidth. Set clear limits. Politely but decisively communicate your constraints. Refuse tasks that would jeopardize your well-being or progress. Reserve time for growth. Dedicate periods for reading, reflection, exercise, or other pursuits that fortify your mind and spirit. By enforcing these boundaries, we honor the Stoic principle that our time is not an infinite resource to be dispensed at the whim of others, but a sacred vessel for personal and moral development. The call to indulge in gossip or malicious talk. The whisper of slander. We have all encountered individuals who thrive on gossip, dissecting other people's flaws, choices, or misfortunes. They beckon us to join in, painting their chatter as harmless or entertaining. Yet, behind this veneer lies a seed of malice or self-exaltation, as though tearing others down somehow elevates us. Why it undermines you. Marcus Aurelius cautioned that our thoughts shape our soul, and by engaging in destructive talk, we pollute our inner environment. Gossip not only wastes our energy, but also fosters a habit of focusing on negativity. Over time, this can distort our perception, making us hypercritical and less empathetic. Instead of seeking solutions or offering compassion, we sink into a mire of judgment that clouds our reason. Furthermore, partaking in malicious talk signals to others that we, too, may speak ill of them when they are absent. It erodes trust, undermining the integrity that is central to a Stoic life. We become complicit in spreading discord, diverting our attention from the introspection and constructive engagement that lead to wisdom. Stoic countermeasure. Epictetus believed in directing our efforts inward, focusing on self-improvement rather than on dissecting the failings of others. To avoid gossip, change the subject. Politely steer conversations toward more meaningful topics. Withdraw if necessary. If the environment fosters relentless slander, excuse yourself. Practice compassion. If a flaw in someone else is the subject of gossip, consider the broader context, empathize with human frailty, and shift your energy toward understanding rather than condemnation. In doing so, we preserve the mental purity that Stoicism celebrates, keeping our minds free from the corrosive effects of idle talk. The urging to chase. Endless pleasures, the lure of unrestrained indulgence. Some social circles glamorize a lifestyle of perpetual celebration, lavish parties, material splurges, addictive thrills. They beckon us to abandon moderation and chase every desire, promising that unbridled pleasure is the key to happiness. Why it undermines you. Epictetus taught that the more we pursue external pleasures, the more we risk becoming enslaved to them. The fleeting rush of indulgence often leaves a void once it subsides, prompting us to seek even greater stimuli. This cycle can spiral into addiction, debt, or a perpetual sense of discontent, as we become detached from the simpler, deeper joys of life. Moreover, overindulgence dulls our capacity for self-discipline. In constantly yielding to impulse, we weaken our ability to say no when it truly matters. Our energy dissipates in the pursuit of fleeting highs rather than fueling endeavors that contribute to genuine self-development. Stoic countermeasure. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized the virtue of temperance, recognizing that the mind is most free and clear when not weighed down by excessive indulgences. To resist the call to constant pleasure. Question the motive. Before saying yes to an indulgence, ask if it aligns with your deeper goals, or if it's merely a distraction. Embrace moderation. Enjoy life's pleasures in measured doses, ensuring they do not derail your focus on virtue. Seek enduring fulfillment. Channel your desire for stimulation into pursuits that cultivate wisdom, creativity, or service. By doing so, we protect ourselves from the emptiness of chasing the next thrill and anchor our contentment in the steady ground of self-control. 7. The demand to remain silent in the face of injustice. The call to complicit quiet. Some people or institutions prefer that we keep our heads down when confronted with wrongdoing, especially if speaking out could disrupt the status quo or cause conflict. They may insist, "It's none of your business," or "You'll only make things worse," nudging us toward passive compliance. Why it undermines you. Stoicism holds justice as a cardinal virtue. Seneca argued that to witness evil without protest is to share in its guilt. By stifling our conscience for the sake of convenience, we fracture our moral integrity. We also deny ourselves the chance to safeguard others or foster positive change. Furthermore, silence in the face of injustice can breed internal conflict and shame. Even if we justify our inaction, a dissonance lingers, chipping away at our peace. Over time, this dissonance can erode our self-respect and make it easier to ignore moral obligations in the future. Stoic countermeasure. A truly Stoic approach to injustice involves courage tempered by reason. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person's worth is measured by the greatness of their actions and convictions. Hence, assess the situation. Consider the potential impact of speaking out. Balance courage with prudence, but do not let fear be your deciding factor. Speak with resolve. If you choose to address the injustice, do so calmly, clearly, and without malice, focusing on the principle rather than personal attacks. Accept consequences. Understand that moral stances may come with backlash. Yet, preserving your integrity often outweighs the cost of conflict. By refusing to be complicit, we uphold a Stoic ethic that demands we defend what is right, even when it is uncomfortable or risky. 8. The coercion of groupthink. The pull of the crowd. We frequently encounter groups, whether social circles, workplaces, or online communities, that push a singular narrative or ideology. They reward conformity and penalize dissent, expecting us to mirror their biases without question. Why it undermines you. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly emphasized the necessity of independent thought, warning against the seduction of the mob. When we yield our judgment to the collective, we sacrifice the critical reflection that Stoicism prizes. We risk perpetuating ignorance, prejudice, or flawed reasoning, letting the group's voice replace our own reasoned analysis. Moreover, conforming to groupthink can stifle innovation, creativity, and personal growth. By submerging our individuality, we forfeit the possibility of offering unique insights or discovering deeper truths. We become echoes instead of distinct voices, undermining the Stoic principle of self-examination. Stoic countermeasure. Epictetus urged us to value truth over popularity, reminding us that real wisdom often diverges from mainstream opinion. To resist groupthink, stay informed. Gather data from multiple sources and perspectives before adopting a stance. Engage respectfully. If you disagree, voice your thoughts calmly, presenting evidence or logic rather than aggression. Preserve autonomy. Be prepared to stand alone, if necessary, knowing that a solitary stance grounded in reason can be more powerful than blind consensus. This approach allows us to maintain intellectual and moral independence, upholding the Stoic belief that virtue arises from honest inquiry, not from capitulating to the crowd. 9. The manipulation of your emotional equilibrium, the game of emotional levers. Certain individuals excel at pulling our emotional strings, whether through guilt-tripping, provocation, or orchestrated drama. They feed on our reactions, reveling in the chaos they create. Their demands might be subtle, but their effect is to hijack our inner calm, compelling us to dance to their tune. Why it undermines you. Epictetus taught that external forces cannot harm us unless we grant them access to our minds. By surrendering our emotional state to manipulators, we become pawns in their strategies, losing the self-control Stoicism deems essential for inner freedom. The resulting turmoil can disrupt our decision-making, lead us to act out of anger or despair, and leave us questioning our own stability. Moreover, once manipulators sense our susceptibility, they may escalate their tactics, entangling us further in their emotional webs. We lose time, energy, and peace to a dynamic that fosters neither growth nor genuine connection. Stoic countermeasure. A Stoic approach to manipulation involves recognizing the game without joining it. Marcus Aurelius believed that no one can steal our serenity unless we surrender it. Practically, observe without reacting. Identify manipulative tactics, guilt, provocation, false emergencies, without immediately engaging. Set boundaries. Calmly refuse to participate in emotional theatrics. If necessary, distance yourself from repeated offenders. Center in reason. Remind yourself that your emotional equilibrium is yours to maintain. Focus on breathing. Recollect Stoic teachings and reaffirm your autonomy. By doing so, we retain the clarity needed to navigate life's challenges on our terms, rather than dancing to the manipulator's tune. Conclusion. Preserving the citadel of the mind. We have traversed 9 distinct demands that people may impose on us, demands that threaten to unravel our discipline, compromise our morals, and shatter our peace. Each one, if indulged, draws us away from the Stoic ideal of self-mastery. They beckon us to betray our conscience, sacrifice our time, degrade our mental clarity, or relinquish our emotional autonomy. Thanks for watching.